This is the Louie T Network.
In the lab room.
Exclusive.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me on this special edition of In the Lab Room, breaking down the divisional races, looking at the AFC South on this particular program. Let's look at this division, break it down quickly. AFC South, this division is all but decided. I mean, we can go ahead and crown the Colts as your AFC South champions. They've wrapped this division up with a record of 8-4. They're not going to be caught by anyone in this division. This is probably, to me, the worst division in all of football. Colts are going to win this, and not by default because this has been a really good team. But they've struggled of late since the injury to Reggie Wayne offensively. But this is an 8-4 team, and this is what they've done their damage. And if you're going to be a good football team in a bad division, this is what you need to do right here. 4-0 within the division. That's how you clean up a bad division. Don't waste wins, okay? Don't squander opportunities to pad your numbers and stats. Beat up on the garbage teams in your division. If they stink, make sure you get those W's. They've been able to do that this season. Hence the 8-4 record, the 4-0 divisional record, and that's why they're going to win this division. You look at the remaining games. At Cincinnati, home for Houston in week number 15, at Kansas City in week 16, wrapping up the season, week 17, home for Jacksonville. Looking at this schedule, I don't see why they can't go 2-2 down the stretch and get to 10-6. I mean, that to me is the most realistic outcome of their season, because this has been a team that has struggled offensively since the injury to Reggie Wayne. You look at their remaining schedule, both of your road games are against top 5 defenses in this league. So at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, I just don't see you going to those buildings against teams that are dominant defensively and winning those games. But then on the flip side of that coin, you got 2 soft games at home. Houston and Jacksonville, 2 of the worst teams in the league. Both teams in your division, I don't see why you can't finish up the season at 6-0 in this division and at 10-6 to wrap this division on up. And that's what I expect from the Colts down the stretch, a 10-6 finish. And look, this team is good enough to go on the road and beat Cincinnati. But again, the Bengals have not lost at home all season long, 5-0. I don't see Indy going into that building and getting a win. Kansas City, they've been struggling of late, but they're still a dominant defensive football team that's getting healthy. They're going to have both of their pass rushers. If nothing else happens to them in that football game, I expect them to be able to put pressure on Andrew Luck. And we'll see. I could see them winning one of those road games. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I see them losing the 2 road games, winning the 2 home games, finishing up this season at 10-6. Now, once you clinch this division, because to me, it's already been clinched, but once you officially clinch this division with one more win, you will have done that. You still have a lot to play for, because the difference between you finishing this season 10-6 or 11-5 could be the difference between you being a 3 seed or 4 seed. And that makes a difference, because after you win, if you win in wild card weekend, and you got to go to number 2's building, that could be the Patriots, that could be the Broncos. You've already beaten Denver. So if it's Denver, you're not afraid of them, even if you got to go to Mile High. And if it's New England, you got to feel like you got a shot against them as well. And if you win that game and the next team left, say someone knocks off the 1 seed and you're the 3 seed, hey, that could be your home game in the AFC Championship game. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So you want to get the 3 seed. You want to be the highest seed possible to give you the best chance to get to the Super Bowl. So Colts have a lot to play for, even though they're going to win this division here in a week or so. You look at the next team in this division, the Tennessee Titans. And right now, just so you know, the Colts are currently the 3 seed in the AFC playoffs. They're tied with the Cincinnati Bengals by virtue of their AFC conference record. They hold the tiebreaker right now and are your 3 seed in the AFC conference. So Colts have a lot to play for. You need to try to win that 3 seed and wrap that up in the AFC conference. Second in this division is the Tennessee Titans. I was watching a video the other day. My man James Carter, huge Tennessee Titans fan, and he was going off. He had a rant about how he was done with your head coach in Tennessee. And I can do nothing but laugh as he went in on Mike Munchak. But look, this is his point, and this is the problem I have with this Tennessee Titans team. You're 5-7, not bad. Again, you probably underachieved, especially when you start a season 3-1. And I know injuries had a huge impact on your season, but when you start a season 3-1, to be 5-7, it's not really a good look at your season. That's not really what you were aiming for when you started the season 3-1. Okay, so essentially you've been 2-6 since the 3-1 start, and that's not good. But here's the problem with this 5-7 mark right here. This is what's going. If Mike Munchak gets fired at the end of the season, as James was advocating for, this is what's going to get him fired. This number right here, and this can't happen when you play in the worst division in the league. 0-4 can't happen when you got a 3-9 and a 2-10 football team in your division. 0-4 in your division can't happen. Okay, that's not allowed to happen when you have a 2-9 or a 2-10 and a 3-9 football team in your division. Okay, 0-4 is despicable when you have that kind of nonsense below you in your division and you can't take advantage of it. What does that say about you as a football team if you can't take advantage of 3-9 nor 2-10? So right now, that's the number that just sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, 1 or 2 victories. Hell, you beat Jacksonville and Houston in this division, each of them once, and you're 2-2 right now. We're talking about a 7-5 football team, not a 5-7 football team. I mean, that's how fine this line is in the National Football League. One win versus one of these bad teams puts you at 500 on the season and gives you a legitimate shot at still winning this division. So, I mean, the inability to beat teams within the division is what's going to probably get Mike Munchak fired. What has this Tennessee Titans team on the outside looking in of this playoff race right now is the fact that they can't get it done in a very porous AFC South Division. You had the Colts on the ropes twice, you let them off the hook. You had the Houston Texans on the ropes, you let them off the hook. You had the Jacksonville Jaguars dead to right, you let them off the hook. And that's probably going to let Mike Munchak off the hook this season as the coach of the Tennessee Titans. So, at Denver, home for Arizona in Week 15. At Jacksonville, Week 16. Finish up the season home for Houston. Look, you got to beat Jacksonville at Jacksonville. You got to beat Houston to finish up your season. You got to do that, okay? Just to save face in this division, you need to have that happen. Now, on the road, at Denver, I don't see you winning that game. Nope. Don't see it happen. So you can go ahead and pencil that one in as a loss. Home for Arizona, that's a winnable game, but that's a dangerous Arizona Cardinals team that probably will be playing for their playoff lives in that football game. I don't see you winning that game either, but if you play defense, you get pressure, you force Carson Palmer into some mistakes. He's prone to making mistakes. You could steal that football game. But again, with the inconsistent play that I've seen from this football team all season long, nothing has shown me that you're supposed to beat a 7-5 Arizona Cardinals football team, but we'll see. But at Jacksonville in Week 16, home for Houston Week 17, you got to win those 2 games. And you're still right there in the thick of things in the AFC playoff picture. You're 1 game out. You're behind the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm going to tell you what, you don't need to go anywhere. You know why you don't need to go anywhere? Because of this number right here. It all comes back to this 0-4 divisional mark. You don't need to go anywhere but home because of that mark right now, because that's despicable. And if you can't beat Jacksonville, you can't beat Houston twice, both of them. If you can't take care of those 2 teams, especially Jacksonville at home, it's okay if you lose to Houston on the road, okay? That was earlier in the season before we found out that they were going to be a bad football team. That's an excusable loss, okay? The Jacksonville loss, their first win of the season, at home, not acceptable. And so, hence, that 0-4 mark is probably going to be the reason you're at home come January when the playoffs get underway. But I can easily see you finishing this season 3 out of the last 4 wins. I can see that happening. I could easily see you winning 2 out of your 4 remaining games. And that's probably the most realistic look at the end of this seaon, I think realistically, 2-2 down the stretch is what you'll be, because you're not beating Denver, and I don't think you're going to beat Arizona either. But I think you can find a way to somewhat salvage this divisional mark by getting your last two within the division. I strongly think that can happen. So I see you finishing up this season at 7-9, and 7-9 will not be good enough to get into the postseason in the AFC. And I don't think you honestly need to go anywhere anyway. You've had opportunities to win some games, to put yourself in a better position to get into the postseason, and you just haven't. And the inconsistent play of Ryan Fitzpatrick, the injuries that you've suffered at some key positions, mainly quarterback to Jake Locker, have really cost you this year. And so I don't know what's going to become of this franchise. I don't know what's going to happen to Mike Munchak. I don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback position. All of those things will be handled in the offseason. We'll see where the Titans end up. But right now they're in second place, and that's where they will stay as this division unwinds and finishes out in this season. The Titans will be your second place team in the AFC South Division. Jacksonville Jaguars are currently in third place with a mark of 3-9. They're 2-1, surprisingly enough, in this division. What that says, though, is that they've got 3 games left in the division. So 3 out of their final 4 games will be against divisional opponents. But heck, they got 3 wins, and 2 of them have come within the division. So they're playing good football within this division. 2-1, not a bad mark for Jacksonville at all in this division. And this is what their end of the season looks like. Home for Houston, home for Buffalo, home for Tennessee, at Indy to finish up. So their next 3 matchups all at home, including a Thursday night football primetime matchup versus the Houston Texans. Their second matchup with this team this season, one that they just won a week ago against this Texans team. So Jacksonville could easily go to 4-9 on the season on Thursday night. Someone's going to get a win between these 2 teams on Thursday night football, either Houston or Jacksonville. Home for Buffalo, that's another winnable game. The Bills have struggled mightily on the road this season. I could see you winning that game as well. Tennessee at home, you already beat them once. Why can't you beat them again? And then you look at Indy to finish up this season. Indy is going to have something to play for in Week 17. They're going to look for seeding. You know what? They'll have the division wrapped up by then, obviously. So it's up to them if they need to, lick some wounds, rest some guys. If it's not that big of a deal for them to be 3rd or 4th in this conference, then they might rest some guys. Who knows if they have anything to play for at that point or not. But if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, looking at this stretch, this is a really soft stretch to finish up the season. 3 of these 4 games are definitely winnable. And depending on what the Indianapolis Colts bring to the table in Week 17, you could clean that up. Now, are you going to win 4 straight after only winning 3 all season long? No. Even though you're playing really good football, and I really like what Gus Bradley is doing, you're not winning 4 straight. It's not happening. You're going to lose 1 or 2 of these games to someone. I could see you losing to Buffalo. I could see you losing to Houston. I could see you losing to Tennessee or Indy. You could lose all 4 of these games. You could win all 4 of these games. I have no idea what the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to do down the stretch. I will say this. 2 of these games you're going to win. I don't know. Pick 2. I don't know which 2. You're going to win 2 of these games. If Indy is playing for something in Week 17, that won't be one of them. But you can win 2 of these games. You could win 3 of these games. Again, I don't know. I think 5-11 is where Jacksonville ultimately ends up at in this season. And to me, that's a win for a team that started this season 0-8. So if you can finish 5-11, I think Gus Bradley has done a fine job coaching this year. And I think he's building something in Jacksonville. You just need a signal caller at the quarterback position. And I think that would definitely raise the stock of this Jacksonville Jaguars team. I think you're going to finish 3rd in this division as well. That is definitely an achievement for a team that has been the basement dwellers in this division for about the last 2 or 3 seasons running strong. So big season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, because I feel like they're learning how to win as a football team. So we'll see how they finish up this season. Houston Texans, what a monumental disappointment these guys have been. And I think it's pretty safe to say that Coobs won't be back next season. Gary Kubiak, head coach, gone. Starting quarterback when this season got underway. Matt Schaub will be gone as well, I believe. 2-10, unacceptable for a team that was dominant in 13-3 last season. Don't know how you flip that around. You can easily finish the inverse of that this year at 3-13. you're 1-2 in the division. At least you've gotten one in the division. Okay, there are some teams out there that haven't won, and the Titans are one of three teams, and that goes to show you how pathetic this 0-4 record is for the Titans. They're one of three teams in the NFL that haven't won a divisional game, the other two being the Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Redskins. So that's a company you don't want to keep. And conversely, the Indianapolis Colts are one of about 5 or 6 teams in the league that are undefeated in their division. So, and the Colts are keeping some good company. The Titans are not. But we go back to the Texans, who are 1-2. And so at least you got one on the board. You've got 3 games within the division remaining. And your schedule reads as follows. Week 14 at Jacksonville, Week 15 at Indy, home for Denver, and Week 16 at Tennessee to round out the season. So 3 of your final 4 games are all on the road, and that's going to be tough for a team that has struggled home or away. Doesn't matter. Looking at your slate, you're not beating Indy at Indy. You're not beating Denver at home. And I don't think you're going to Tennessee and winning either. So I could easily see you finishing out this season 3-13. And I think that's what you're going to finish out this season at. If you're going to win a game, it's either going to be Week 17 at Tennessee or Week number 14, Thursday Night Football at Jacksonville. Pick one of those, get it, and go on with your business. I don't think you're winning any more than 3 games this year. I don't think you're going to win 2 out of your final 4 games. If you do, it'll be the bookends. It'll be Week 14 at Jacksonville, Week 17 at Tennessee. You're not beating Indy, and you're not beating Denver. That's that in this division. So I see the Texans pulling up the rear in this division because I feel like Jacksonville is going to win 5 games this season, and I don't think Houston is going to get past 3. They could win 4. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I just don't see it happening. So that's going to do it for this division. Colts are going to win this division, and they have a chance to be the 3 seed in the AFC. Titans still have a shot of making the postseason, albeit a long shot because of the inconsistencies of this football team. I don't think they need to go anywhere, and I don't think ultimately they will go anywhere. But they have a shot if they can get hot down the stretch. Again, it's going to take 9 wins to get into the postseason in the AFC as a wild card. And, I mean, you can do the math. At 5-7, to get to 9, you need to win all 4 of your remaining games, and you're not beating the Denver Broncos in Week 14. So that's going to stop you from getting to 9 right there. So going to be tough sledding for the Tennessee Titans. But I think of those 6-6 teams, someone's going to get hot, win 3 out of 4 to finish up the season, whether it's the Ravens or it's the Dolphins. That remains to be seen. But one of those 2 teams, to me, is going to be your 6th seed in the AFC, and they're going to win 9 games. And so it's going to take 9 to get in, and the Titans will not do that. So that's this division in a nutshell. Colts are going to win it. They're going to go to the postseason. I don't think another team from this division is getting in. And really, if you are the worst division in football, which I think this is, you only need and deserve to have one team go to the postseason from your division anyhow. And that's the way, ultimately, I think it's going to end up in this division. So that's going to do it for me here in the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me on this special edition of In the Lab Room, breaking down all of these divisions. This time, breaking down the AFC South. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. See you next time as I'll be back breaking down the final division in the AFC, the AFC West. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.
In the Lab Room.